to say hi for a little bit. We're going to start off talking about an incident that occurred in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm trying not to say Gunshooting, at least in the first several minutes of this video. But if you were unaware, today around 11:30 a.m., there was an occurrence at a Baptist church in Lexington, Kentucky, where somebody took the lives of two people, Beverly Gum, the age of 72, and Christina Combs, who was 32 years old. And they shot two other people who were there at the church. Oh, there I go using that word. And one of those people is in critical condition right now. I saw a comment that said Beverly Gum is the pastor's wife, and while I have not seen that confirmation, I did look up the church's web, and the church's pastor was named Jerry Gum, so I am assuming that might be correct. It is hearsay pretty much at this, you know, right now. I don't want to say that for sure, but previously, prior to this incident, the person who committed the crime, they were pulled over and I'm sorry to keep spelling things out. They SHOT the officer who pulled them over, fled the scene, and went and carjacked another car. Thankfully, they didn't hurt that person, and that's when they went to the church and did what they did at this church. Hey, Pittsburgh guys. Yeah, I heard that is messed up, like at a church, really. Yes, Pittsburgh guys, it is really sad, and I like a lot of your short. You're really young, aren't you? That's you in your videos, right, Pittsburgh guys? But yeah, I want to talk about what happened there and mostly about mental health issues, as I said in the title. So it was said that the shooter may have connections to the attendees of the church, the actual people that they SHOT, but that's unconfirmed. And they said they hadn't reached the shooters, I keep using that word now, parents yet, so they didn't want to divulge their name or any more details, which I think was kind of silly, but they were SHOT and unalived by police officers who came to the scene. And well, good for you, Pittsburgh guys. Keep it up. Especially if you start, working at things like at this age. Alrighty, so thank you, Vivitsu. Sorry, I'm being kind of slow. This is a little difficult to talk about, honestly. It was a small congregation, it looked similar to so many other churches I pass every day going out driving. It wasn't like your typical big city church. This was a little bit on the outskirts, and Lexington's a great city. Everywhere has people who just want to worship God and, go to church and be within each other's company and within their familiar congregation. And it really is sad that there's people who are motivated to try to take that comfort away from a lot. I don't know if somebody that crazy even thinks that far, but I thought that it was interesting. Hi, how are you doing tonight? No, I didn't draw that behind me. I wish I could do art that well. It's a tapestry I got on Amazon. I always have to say this, for like less than $9. Something I believe the chief of police in Lexington said on a press conference was, sometimes things happen. We don't have a reason why. And that really struck me. It's like, I think most people, of course, we don't have an exact reason to pinpoint, especially if they're not going to give us details. There are probably many reasons, and there are several factors into why many people's mental health is suffering. Yes, in particular men. I'm not pointing the finger at all men, but men do commit well over 90% of the violent crimes, and they're more successful at taking their own lives, and things don't seem to be getting any better. There's always been a lot of GUNs in Kentucky. In my opinion, I don't think GUN control is a solution to this, but we don't walk around and act like we have no idea what's going on when people are losing their minds for several reasons. In bad economic times, people often have worse mental health issues. Yes, Nexus database, it really was. And I have a black light shining on it. That's what makes it look the way it is, kind of like glowing. Dakota. Hi, Dakota Duncan. I want to make sure that wasn't, I'm sorry. So many people, have you say like Jenna, and like, I just want to make sure it wasn't one of those. Okay. Hey, Michael, how are you? I do not speak Portuguese. I speak very little Spanish. Hey, Addie, I'm glad you're here. How are you doing tonight? Yeah, not all the people go to church to worship God, not for their lives to be taken. Yes, but it's incredibly sad, and I think it really speaks to the times we're in. I just want to say, have a great day. What's your opinion on the big beautiful bill? I make 30,000 a year and feel like it screwed me. /us. Ember Scarlett. I don't know what you do for a living, but I make a lot of content about how us people who are laborers, blue collar workers, people that make well under $80,000. I make under $50,000 a year myself. We are very important. We are vital. And I think part of this design is to divide and conquer. They want people to not like the people that provide everything for them. And it makes me really sad that the details I've heard is completely unnecessary. The cuts they're given to billionaires, like making it easier for private space travel. We don't need that, especially with the environmental pollution going on right now. Every single one of those that launches is horrible environment, let alone when they blow up midair. And like it's such a shame. They are giving big tax cuts to people with big businesses that are already successful enough. They large machines outright. A smaller business simply can't do that. It's just going to cause the wealth disparity to grow even more. In the last 5 years, it's been absolutely insane. And it's just going to cause that to continue. And in my opinion, it's horrible. And they're doing to people that make, you mentioned 30,000. I don't know what the exact number, but I do remember it's something around there that's like, you're actually going to get like 7,000 or so like tax. It's so insane. Like, excuse me, it reminds me of when we late on our power bill and we got tacked on like this $500 security deposit, something crazy, because we were chronically late. We had never been shut off. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just like the way that they keep people poor is they like make it harder to live off of less. You know, like a lot of us could live off of less if we weren't constantly penalized for having less. And that's not right. And the big, beautiful bill is the biggest example of it, of wealthier people getting the easy end of the stick. And we all need to wake up to it and with our dollars, basically, and try to not give them any of our dollars. I know it's impossible with certain things. Like you only have one utility company, one electric, one water company around here, as in most places. But we could avoid, I was thinking about making an Amazon wish list, and I'm like, I hate to support Amazon at all. I don't even want to make a list to get things for free, possibly. Jay Seymour, women a lot of slaps on the wrist when it comes to violent stuff. I understand where you're coming from, Jay Seymour, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but do you think that sincerely commit anywhere close to the actual crime? Like, I know what you're talking about. They do take it, but that's because they don't commit so much violent crime, And I'm not saying that that's fair or evil, but it's just the natural order of things. When somebody 9 out of times you have a male standing in front of you, that same crime that's committed by a female, like you might be a little bit more lenient on them. And I'm not saying that that is fair, but I think it's more that reason why. Velasquez, how are you doing? Hi, Randy. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty well tonight. I'm doing better tonight than I was last night. And I stayed on here for 2.5 hours last night. What is your opinion on, I don't, Chili's triple dipper? That's funny, Evo Blue. Triple dipper. Is that the sample platter? I forget what it is. Chili's is too salty for me anymore. I used to like Chili's food more, but it's a little too for my taste. Bye-bye, Vivitsu. I have to go be back in a minute, Pittsburgh guys said. Okay, Pittsburgh guys. Donald, the biggest thing that everyone should preach is stay away from credit cards if they can afford it. They don't need it. Interest rates are absolutely insane. That's very good advice, Donald Hill. Apparently, there's a lot of young people that follow me or watch me sometimes live. I can't stress that. And that is great advice. The only reason I have one credit card, and that was the first credit card I've gotten in almost over years. I mean it because I'm trying to build up my credit, and it has a very low limit, obviously, because I had no credit score to begin with. And like you should always try to stay on top of your credit card and stay debt free as much as possible. They want us to be debt slaves. Hi, Shadow. Which side am I from? Hi, Tim from Ireland to you. I don't know who you're talking to, Todd, but hi. They make the cost of living too high even at the rate, and the cost to buy anything to get out of that loop is put far beyond reach. I completely agree, Yoel, and that is part of why I advocate for not only gardening, but a sustainable closed loop system such as permaculture, where you create and use everything you need on your own property. More of us that can provide more for our own selves. And it's not just about food you eat. You can grow home decor. You can use like loofah gourds can be used as sponges, although they do harbor bacteria. So I wouldn't like keep the sponge on the way you might with like something that's synthetic. But you can still, and you can use it as fire starting material. We can grow our own toilet paper. Okay. They say, why would government want our money when they print it? But people don't understand the print. It's debt we have to pay back. They're dumping their debt on us. Elsa Olson, yes, you are right. I learned that from other people, like during 5 years ago when they were giving us money and people were saying this isn't good because like we're going to be paying for it later in high inflation, and they were right. And you're right. Sunil says Chicago in the house. How are you doing? Donald Hill, I bought my first house at 24 and paid it off in 10 years because every penny I made every month I would pay the mortgage and then drop 1,500 on top, got away from most of the interest. That's so smart, Donald. Good for you. This sounds like you've already done it, obviously. I don't know exactly when it was. Things like Donald's story, that's what most of us who work hard for our money should be striving for, and that's what is going to be more difficult to attain the more this wage disparity and wealth disparity grows. Hi, Shane. How are you doing? Smile, neither do I. Donald, I think rent payments should be reported in credit reports. That way, when you go to buy a house, your credit report reflects you're a good risk. Yeah, I agree, Donald. I think that it should show if, like, you've never been evicted, show if you've never had a utility cut off. What about things like that, that like the average person does every single month that don't ever go, you know, um, towards us in a good way on our credit report? Now, Shift said, and that is why I will never own a credit card. And it is, in my ideal way to live would be to never even have to worry about my credit report or my credit score, because I would be saving up for everything and paying for it in cash anyways, right? But it's not the way I can live right now. But that would be ideal, and that's how a lot of Amish and Mennonite people believe in living. Like, they won't even take business loans out to buy a business. Gregory said sustainable living. Yes, you can definitely grow toilet paper, Jennifer. There's several plants I've grown that I'm like, oh, in a pinch, like we could totally use these. Like chia is one, it grows like a weed. Chia, like the chia seeds, and then marshmallow. I love the marshmallow plant. That's one of the few things I'm growing right now because my garden isn't doing that great this year, but I did take a video of my pumpkin patch, and I want to share that with you guys soon. I don't know what soltero means, but you're saying you're 45 years old, Walter? Hablo un poquito español. Muy un poquito. Hi, Honey Bear. How are you doing? So we're talking about this unfortunate shooting that took place in Lexington, and so far 2 women passed away. 2 other people in the church were shot, and one of those people is in critical condition. This is hearsay, but I think it's probably pretty factual. One of the women, her name was Beverly Gum, and the pastor of the church is Jerry Gum. I am not sure if he's one of the 2 that's in it. It's all really unfortunate, and the police chief said sometimes things happen. We don't know a reason why. And people need to quit ignoring like the obvious reasons why. In the 80s, what was it, early 80s, they shut down a bunch of mental institutions because they weren't treating people right. But in my opinion, now that we have the ability to surveil a lot easier and better, we do have more and better medicine. Like, we need a place for people to go who are mentally unstable to the point where they are affecting the rest of society. And instead, they want to talk about GUN control when that is not the answer. Where we grew up, like I remember being told in the high school I went to in Indiana, there used to be a boys GUN club where like everybody brought their rifle with them, and they'd take them in, clean them together, talk about their GUNs. Like, it's not a GUN problem is the point. And Kentuckians, like, I wouldn't doubt it if everybody on my street was armed, and that makes me feel safer. I understand some people wouldn't feel that way, but in a country where there's more GUNs than people, I'd rather be in that situation where I know that my neighbors are good people, and we have them same reason that they do, and everything. If the worst happened, we needed to defend ourselves from whatever, like we'd be more capable. And that's one of the things I love about Kentucky. Hi, Unholy Scream. How are you doing? Nicholas also knows a little bit of Spanish. Hi, Joy Joy. How are you? Donald, the problem with small business loans is they want you to show 20 to 25,000 incoming on your business every month. Oh, I didn't know that. They use third-party lenders, just like everything. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's just like as the wealth disparity grows, the nepotism involved, like, yeah, a lot. Millionaires aren't self-made. The most of them come from wealth, and it's gonna like keep happening. Like, more and more of them are just like we're gonna have less of that self-made wealth that America's notorious for, right? The opportunities that lend to that. Good morning, Manoy. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. Manoy. Who are you? I don't mean to laugh at your name. Sing. I know that's how you say the second one, right? Oh, thanks, Crip. Um, I don't think they're freaky. Oh, you said, "Who are you single, beautiful?" I didn't read that comment. That's funny. I'm sorry, I didn't read that comment from them. I don't know. Oh, hey, the FU. I remember you. America has the greatest respect for GUNs besides a certain race. And yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think a lot of these things have been planned on purpose. Like, hip hop and rap music didn't used to be what it is now. And it used to be more of a call to like know more about politics and escaping the matrix, basically, like talking about the day-to-day lives, and then like in my opinion was turned into what it is now on purpose. And I've touched upon this before, like, no, I don't think that entertainment and music necessarily makes you do violent things, but I don't think it's healthy for somebody that's already in a bad place to have a lot of negative entertainment. And don't I think it is part of the problem sometimes. I have been married for 15 years to a beautiful white Hispanic man just like me. You know what I mean? He's like, me, he's white, but he's a quarter Hispanic. Okay. Hola, Antonio. Hablo un poquito español. The cool guy, thank you. Oh, lizard, that's funny. You might be. I've seen some lizards on the outside of our house. Donald, now theoretically, a business that generates cash more than card sales because theoretically all Americans don't report all their cash earnings and keep their tax bracket low. Yes. Now, I was a waitress for several years, and it's how messed up what they do to waitresses, making $2.13 an hour. If I didn't make enough money to bring that $2.13 up to minimum wage, that it the government, whoever would go back to the restaurant and be like, you need to like make up for that and pay them more. But like, if you sincerely didn't make one tip that night, because sometimes that happens, like you won't have any tables or you only have a few, nobody to, and then you literally have to report money that you didn't earn. That happened to me several times as a waitress. And that's one thing that I was excited about Trump, because I know how hard that job is, especially in times like now. And like when he was talking about actually helping those people out, it was nice to me. Speaking theoretically. I'm not endorsing not reporting cash income, though. Theoretically, a lot of people don't know. Donald, I get what you're saying, and you're adding a lot to the conversation. Thank you. A lot of Espanol in here tonight. Hi, King. How are you doing? So I already said all the information that there is about what happened at this church. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to be like a news reporter because I don't want to get like too. It's absolutely devastating. Like I said, this is like there's churches all around me that look like that church. There's so many churches. There's so many God fearing people that like to attend church every week in Kentucky, and this is devastating and traumatizing on so many levels. Well, it was really sad news to hear today. I was going to talk more about the immigration stuff. I feel like I don't do a good job expressing everything I want to express about that. I hold back because I don't want to hurt feelings, but obviously I share my opinion enough knowing that I'm going to end up, not being everybody's cup of tea and people aren't going to agree with everything that I say. That's fine, right? But somebody needs to say it. Oh, I wish I miss Mr. Carey. Okay. Hey, John Henry. Happy Sunday, John Henry said. How are you doing today? Hi, Sachin. Sachin, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. So we've talked about before, and I know that people think that I think that it's like men versus women. It's not like that at all. It's like there's a mental health crisis. Men themselves say male loneliness epidemic, but not really in defense of each other. In my opinion, most of it's made so like horrible women pointing the finger at women, but like men need to start hearing more about each other in their own mental health. And I know plenty of you men do. And if you are listening to me as a source of entertainment, somebody that's just like sitting about uh, social commentary and philosophical type things, like you probably are a more considerate man than what I'm talking about. I don't ever want to come off as I think all men this, all women that. But it's clear that there is a mental health crisis happening among men. Women are not suffering in quite the same ways, although I'm sure there's plenty of women that are. And hi, Savannah Banana, how are you doing? John Henry said, life is good. That's good, John. Well, you have a Kentucky. I'm down here in Florida. I'm getting ready for bed. I left a like on your channel. Thank you, Donald Hill, and thank you for contributing so much. And good night. Hope you sleep well. And so a lot of what I don't want to say that I think a lot of this action to what we see online on a daily basis. If you spend time online and see the discourse between men and women and relationships, and at what point will men take responsibility for the violence other men commit instead of wanting to talk so much about women. I get it. Like, women can be so horrible. Women can be mean to me too. Women don't say thank you when I hold the door open either, and it does bother me. I do think it's rude, and that's one reason why I thrive so much off of living in a place where people are overall more polite to each other, men and women alike, because, like, I do like that. I'm a polite person. I don't like it when other people aren't polite, and I know that that's not good. Like, I don't like that about me. I think it's a character flaw, honestly. So when I see other people of the opposite gender get, like, literally mad about things like that, like, I understand, but it shouldn't ruin your day, and hopefully you have enough good connections with good people of both genders that you see that, like, we're not all men aren't all bad. No, it's not all men that commit 90% of violent crimes, but it's clearly enough that we need to start taking their mental health issues seriously. And if you know somebody who is struggling, like, one person being there for somebody in need can change their whole life. And apparently people are denying, like, I'm not denying, but the cop wouldn't give details. But it seems apparent, like they alluded to, they may be connected, that this person probably targeted the people that they did in the church. And we'll find out more details soon. But, people want to bring up skin color and stuff, and I understand that. Men that are violent, they unalive more men, women, and children than anybody else. It's like the bad men are also victimizing other men. The bad men are the ones who are traumatizing us all. The bad men are the ones who create a system where the wealthy are just siphoning more and more off the rest of us to create this disparity between classes where there's no middle class anymore. There's not going to be a middle class anymore soon. It's just going to be a wealthy people and then poor people. Because of social media and dating sites, it's inflated women's egos. Why sea slime? Okay, I agree with that. And I made a video about that. Social media is not healthy, especially for a developing mind. And I try to put myself in the shoes of young women who grew up with media, and, like, I can't imagine, because just the magazines we had, I'm 38 years old. The magazines we had 20, 25 years ago were bad enough of an influence. Like, the way they spoke to women and, Teen Cosmo and 17 magazine, YM was another one, modern. And my dad, who is one of the most abusive creeps ever, like, he got us a subscription because we asked for it, and then he got it, like, sent to his house on accident or something, and then he berated us over the phone. He's like, "I can't believe you wanted me to get you that smut," because it was, like, tips in bed, and it's, like, for teenagers. This wasn't for, I'm pretty sure, young modern, maybe, like, but the point is, they've been indoctrinating us to be a certain way, and it's unhealthy. It's not good for women. A lot of women's reaction to it is just as unhealthy, but you can't fault people for, like, of course, you're an adult, you're responsible for your own actions, but, like, a lot of us are just, like, victims of this horrible environment. We really truly are. And if you can step back, see it for what it is, and see those women as, like, you know, I'm not saying that that's give them excuses for bad behavior, but I do, in my opinion, it's social media is warping women's mind and their psychology to interact with people. The same can be said about men with adult media. It is also warping men's minds, changing the way they interact with people, and therefore the trajectory of their entire lives. Mark Melville, no, I wish I was from Trinidad, Kentucky. Hi, Mason, how are you? There's no such thing as middle class anymore, not in 2025. Agree, Rin. The video is cutting out pretty bad. Okay, maybe I will jump off of here and restart, because last night that was not a problem. Can anybody else confirm? Am I not? Am I glitching for them? James said, "I love Kentucky." I'm doing well, James. How are you? Kentucky is a great place. Do you have? I don't know what re. It's just a tapestry with, like, a cute little waterfall setting. I'm fine now, Ren said. Okay, I'm going to continue, but I'd really appreciate anybody let me know. Like, last night I was on here for 2.5 hours and nobody said anything. Yoder said I was going to say it's bad. And usually once I stop it and it uploads completely, the glitches are better, but I still don't want to, like, sit here and, like, not be able to keep it up. Nirvana girl. Oh, hi, Mary. How are you? Yeah, I always say a good pancake shouldn't require up-to-taste communication. So maybe, okay, Yoder, I don't know if you're saying it's still bad right now. I've never had a hot brown, James. Oh, you're supposed to go, "What's up, dog?" And then we go, "Nothing much, LMAO." Oh, that's okay, that's cute. Sorry I ruined that. "What's up, dog?" I ruined it again because I said it like I'm gonna, like okay. Um, so it is better now? Okay. Okay, Yoder. Well, I pretty much said what I had in my notes, and now I feel like I'm, like, losing steam. Okay, so somebody mentioned it's, like, the social media warping women's like, yes, I agree with that, and I do empathize with men. I sound like a country hologram. Ew, do I sound like a robot? Is it doing the tinny voice thing? I went to East Prestonburg, Kentucky 10 years ago, James said. I've heard good things about Prestonburg. I don't think I've been that east in Kentucky, though. I am in South Central. I don't say exactly where I am, Cole, because I've made videos about this weirdo who like raised over $1 million after being on Peter Santanella's channel. And then, it came out that he could bestiality and did a bunch of inappropriate things around children. And I made content about that. And then, like, now, I just didn't want to divulge exactly where I live. Hi, Huncho. How are you? Anybody that has a channel, like, feel free. It might actually be a good idea, too, to comment in the actual comments. I don't know, maybe I should make a live that's just like people promoting their content, their channels. Jenny Wiley State Park, my eighth great grandmother. Oh, that's neat. That's so neat, James. That's awesome. I swear I've heard of that before because I've looked up all of Kentucky's state parks plenty of times because when you're poor and low income, it's a great way to spend some time with your kids. And they're usually like pretty close to being free. Not a lot of places around here are historical sites as well as national parks, or at least like two or three. And I thought that was kind of special. So people bring up the way women are, which like I agree. I'm not trying to say women are better, but women aren't on a downward spiral as much. Women aren't taking out what is going on with their anger and hurt on other people. They aren't going into the churches and doing these things. And this is the truth. And so I'm not saying that makes women better than men. I think we're here to help each other. And if we're at the end of a cycle, which clearly we are, it almost kind of makes sense to me that there's so many bad men in the world and maybe like they're bringing men down with them first. But yeah, true. We're not so low income. I agree with that statement about women. Yes, and so I don't ever want to come off like I think that men are the only problem. There's several factors playing into, and ever since the internet got introduced in 1999-ish, and we had more access to it than we've been. There was some tribe, I forget what country, but I think it was like a remote part of Brazil. You probably heard of this. They got the internet. They got Starlink, Elon Musk's internet, satellite internet. And within a few months, they're saying none of their young people want to help with the resource gathering. They're addicted. The young women are addicted to social media. The young men are addicted to adult media. And the young men are becoming more aggressive. And now they're suing the New York Times and places that published the story for defamation. I'm sure they are very prideful people. Could you imagine like the pride when you're living like that, like a tribal kind of way? And I'm not trying to like talk despairingly about them myself, but it makes sense, and it's like a microcosm of what's going on a larger scale. And I've heard the same thing about like remote villages in India and stuff. There was Cole May, what I end of a cycle. In my opinion, I think we're at the end of a cycle in a lot of ways. Financially, I don't believe we have free market capitalism anymore. Ever since 5 years ago, when they told mom and pop shops they couldn't stay open during the panini, and they let big corporations stay open for business, that's market capitalism. And the wage wealth disparity that's been growing ever my whole life now, the wage disparity especially, but it's unsustainable, and we can't keep going like this. Like, I believe in Marian tablets that were found. I don't know exactly how long ago. I learned about them in 2015. They said this world goes in cycles, and it starts off. Once again, this is not saying males are better because the ideal is a balance, but it starts off female minded and then it goes into like the ideal where it's a mix of female and male. And then the end of a cycle is always male minded. Like the same kinds of things happen. Sex is monetized. It's just like the same bad things happen in both situations. Like it's too skewed to certain things when it's woman, female minded. And keep in mind, this isn't saying men versus women. We all have male and female energy within us, and that's what it's saying. It's like more like female energy, and then it goes into a mix. And what we're at right now, in my opinion, is clearly a more male-dominated energy, and it's not good for anybody involved. We're here to balance each other out and keep each other in check. Hi, Miss Patriot. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Hey, Jory, how are you? Thank you, Jory said smash that thumb up for my friend and subscribe if you guys are new and turn on all bells. Thank you so much, Jory. Internet was out way before 1994. Well, okay, yeah, but the people that had it were like college professors. My dad was one, yeah. But most people didn't have internet in their home till the late 90s, I would say, right? But you're right. I mean, you know, there was an internet and it started, wasn't it like a military thing that my dad was emailing people like a few years before we got the internet in our home from his office? James, one is masculine energy and he is feminine energy. Yes, James. Donald, I'm scrolling looking at different live feeds of people when I landed on yours. Oh, thank you, Donald. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. That's really nice. Truth is strange, said. That's true. Facebook and stuff was like 2000. Oh, I didn't know if it was that early. Well, when I was 12 years old, that's when us in we were very excited to get the internet because it was like only the kids with money had the internet. And when I lived in 1999, I don't know about you guys, but we definitely didn't have access to social media and the internet in our pockets like we do with the phones too. You know, it wasn't such constant. Like we had one computer. Most of us had one computer that if you had any siblings, you were fighting over that, right? To like talk on MSN Messenger or something because you couldn't just text people the way that you now. And things are have evolved so fast, like nobody's been through so many technological changes in one lifetime that we know of than us that's alive right now. I mean, I'm not talking about you really youngs. I'm talking about people like me and middle aged more so. Um, Muhammad said Donald is some weird guy. How do you know that, Muhammad? Oh, the one that because he called me beautiful. Well, I'd rather have a strange comment like that than some of the other crap I get, Muhammad. Yeah, it was dial-up, James said. Yeah, you young people, you have no idea how good you have it if you never had to deal with dial-up internet and the sound it made. Hi, Brandon Bishop. How are you doing tonight? Hola, Dennis. Hi, Bray. How are you doing? Um, Dixie. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. James said, I'm 43. That's cool, James. Jeeping. Hello from outside Louisville, Kentucky. Jeeping John. That's neat. I love Louisville. I was born in Louisville, Jeeping John, and I lived there a lot as an adult. Hi, Young Fong. How are you? Hi, Matt. How are you? Hi. Oh, I already said hi. Polly Pocket. I'm 20 and I remember dial-up. Aw, that's so cute, Polly Pocket. Hi, Superstar. How are you? Well, I don't know, terrible. I don't know about that. I think it's unnatural. And this is for adult audiences only. Oh gosh, I didn't put a disclaimer. This is all my commentary, whatever. Um, I just think it's unnatural. And never before have people had access to be able to watch other people be intimate. And like some people, like around the clock. And I think it's part of what is messing with men's brains. And I don't say that like you're the problem. Like they know that it messes with them, and they know that men should be I don't wanna say the leaders of society, but you know what I mean. They should oh gosh, this is so hard to talk about because I don't ever wanna make somebody who's already in a bad place feel worse about themselves. But I keep saying the police chief said, like, sometimes bad things happen and we just don't know why, and, like, pertaining to the shooting at the church in Lexington earlier today, but it's like, I think we anybody that lives a life and doesn't stay in their house all the time, and I don't mean that down on people that are, like, disabled or whatever, I mean, anybody that socializes with other people and, like, knows what's going on the last few years, I think we know why this is happening, and that's not to make excuses or try to justify it in any way. We're helping people. And somebody in here last night said that he was talking to a young man who was crying in his beer over bills. And it's so sad. Like when you're young in the prime of your life, the whole world should be ahead of you. You should be excited about making money. People don't have that ambition anymore because what is there to be excited about when you can't afford anything? When I was growing up, the jobs I had at 16, 17, 18, you could get an apartment, you could have a car too. You could have some extra money to go out with your friends and have a social life. You literally can't do that now. And then on top of that, people talk down about people who make less than $80,000 a year. Like we're all these simpletons, and like absolutely everybody should be making more money than that. And you're an idiot moron if you don't. Like we don't really need the people actually incredibly badly, like right behind, seriously, like healthcare workers. Factory workers, warehouse workers are the only other people open in severe state emergency weather situations and paninis and stuff because we need to keep the supply chain flowing. Ignoring Jesus offers us extra fuel for hellfire, captain of a starship said. Yes, I agree with you on the level that like people that have overall less people having less faith in God is detrimental to all of us. Um, I do like Cocoa Puffs. I get like the generic that Dino brand, you know what I mean, that comes in a bag. Jewelry, yeah, they have people now that saying young people are better than older people. James, talk to you later. True. Oh, it was nice to talk to you, James. I hope you have a good night if you're still here. Yeah, Bailey, you can go do whatever you want. Nobody's putting a GUN to your head to be here. I love it. People click on a live and like complain about it. Like, you know, like they really think they're going to make anybody look silly but themselves. Men should feel they have a purpose, Cole said. Yes, and I agree with that, Cole. I work in factory on an assembly line, and there's just like a huge difference between the young men, men of all ages with good work ethic, and the men without good work ethics. And like the men around my age, a little bit older than me, like it's not guaranteed they're going to have a better work ethic. Like younger people do seem to be like, I think the lack in ambition is because, like I just said, everything's too expensive to even look for. They have nothing to save up for. They like can't even save up and afford any. Everything's like the way cars cost now, like everything is harder to reach for more people. People aren't going to be able to stay at home with their babies if they want to on the income like we had, like when we did it 15 years ago. And it's not fair, and it's going to affect us all. Society messing with people affects people's minds. Jeff said, yes, I agree. Hi, Cosmo. How are you? Captain, not merely less faith, lifestyle of faith. That's a good point, Captain. Yes, you're right. It's not just about like believing in a higher power, but like living up to your beliefs. Jocelyn, please shout out my brother's channel, Mace Man the Ninja. Yeah, and feel free to say any channels you guys have. And you put an app, but I don't think it's like made it so people can click on it just so you like people shouting out smaller channels on my lives. Generation of wants over needs, entitlement era. Yeah, Jeeping John, I mean, in my opinion, that kind of started with the boomers. And that's not to say every boomer, but I think there's a lot of people on the boomer generation that are like their parents came home from war and they wanted to spoil their babies because they went through war and like they went through serious rationing, like they rationed goods like sugar and flour and tires, and the women went to work in factories and risked their lives. Women gave their lives making things for wartime efforts, and yeah, and then it's like, what came of that was they, in my opinion, spoiled their kids a little bit. Maybe some of it had to do with not present in the home as much, because not every woman was a homemaker. A lot of women stayed in the workforce after that. A lot of women wanted to. A lot of women enjoy making their own money. Pizza diver, Trump and Epstein forever, LOL. And right under that, Trump said, "Can I leave now?" That's so funny. Bray said, "I'm good. How about you?" "I'm doing well tonight." Jocelyn said, "Mega." Thomas, "Do you speak Irish?" "No, I do not speak Irish." Trump. Thanks to Biden. "I see respect for you, respecting yourself, and not having an OnlyFans or Patreon with adult content. Way too common now. It's sad. Birth rates are at an all-time low, as well as marriages." I am totally against the X work. I don't think it's work. I don't think any woman should do it, and I don't look down on women that do it. I look at them as products of this environment too, but I totally see all the bad things because of it, and I want to make more content on that. It's so sad what happens to women in that industry, and so many young women are putting themselves out there. They can never take these things back for the rest of their lives, and they're not making any money in hopes that they're going to make good money, because that justifies everything, right? Like as long as you make a lot of money, it's okay, and it's evil. It's absolute evil, and we need to start like being honest about the reality of that industry, not just shaming the women for being promiscuous or whatever, but for pointing out like what is so insidious about it. And right now, in my opinion, from what I see, it's a lot of like what is encouraging in men is a lot of like PEDO type behavior. Like the barely legal stuff is so sick. And like there's this one lady, Bonnie Blue, like she talks about barely legal men. It's this woman that does that kind of content, and then she talks about how she loves to sleep with barely legal men. It's so disgusting. Everybody can agree. Ew, she's only like 23, but it's still disgusting, to like talk about how she loves them fresh out of high school. It's predatory and off-putting to most people, right? But, like, why don't we feel that way about young women? Like, they've been preyed upon the same exact thing, like, barely like this up before, like, it's been normalized to just, like, have a Playboy in your bathroom. When I was growing up, that happened to me, like, going to friends' houses, it was embarrassing to me. I didn't like that. I don't like seeing their dad openly kept this Playboy in the bathroom. That's not cool. I've also found adult media of, like, somebody that was an older male figure that, like, and it was barely legal, and I myself was barely legal, and it's just, like, this horrible, disgusting, dirty feeling that's becoming more normalized. And I think that, like, traumatized women take that trauma feeling, that dirty disgustingness that a lot of us feel, like, they justify it, the attention they get and the money that they make, and it's only detrimental. I myself just had a hysterectomy because I have the worst two strains of HPV you can have that cause 80% cancer, and I came very close to getting cervical cancer. And that is because I was not smart when I myself was 18 years old. No, I did not do the things we're talking about right now. Terrible times. The only book you should read that starts with BI is biology. Society, I said that funny. Society needs to make more accountability for how it mistreats people who are misunderstood. Jeff, yes. Just people who do not fit in, like people who are not normal and don't fit in the crowd. I myself is an autism mom. I believe I am on the autism spectrum myself, but I have not been officially diagnosed, but I'm definitely not typical. And it's just the people that are least typical have so much to offer. Like, I believe we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but like people can be so special. And it is shameful to think about like all the people that were literally like locked away in a basement or an attic their whole life because they lies the same way. That's something that we think we're so progressive, but we're not. And the way people use autism as a slur, I hate that. Let's go back to saying retarded more because retarded, the slow people don't get like I know it's probably is used in medical literature, maybe somewhat, but like people don't diagnose like I'm sorry, maybe they do, but like usually another diagnosis comes along with the mental retardation. Like people don't use that same we're the same like the way people throw around autistic and like I did that autistically and stuff like that really grinds my gears because it's not when you're talking about something that real people are afflicted with, real people are taking care of people who are afflicted with it. They can't speak up for themselves. You're making fun of people who have no voice. I think that is the most cowardly thing anybody could do. And it's becoming more and more normalized when we got over, using retarded as a slur, using gay as a slur also is wrong. Why? Because there are sincerely gay people out there. They shouldn't be mocked. Being gay shouldn't be a joke. It's just not proper. But thanks, Arian, if you're talking to me. Superstar, you asked how I am. It's 4:30 here by me. I'm up because of a bad dream. Lucky I found you. Now I'm going back to sleep. Nice to meet you. Oh, Superstar, if you're still here, I hope you sleep better now. And I talk my husband to sleep all the time. If you use me to go to sleep, that's funny to me. Jeff, women want empowerment and being intimate. There's a price, and that's dignity. Well, no, I don't agree completely with that, Jeff. You can be empowered and independent and not have to pay with your dignity. But when you're talking about specifically the sex work, okay, you're probably talking about that, right? I'm sorry. I know you're probably not talking about like overall all together, but sex work, yes, I agree. There's everybody across the board. You would never want your mother, sister, child, granddaughter, cousin, friend, any woman you love, care about. If you are saying you sincerely are okay with them doing that to make their money, to sustain their lives, then like you've been indoctrinated by a lot of the smut because you don't know the truth about that industry and how it's like the least unsustainable. There's no retirement plan for any of them. And it's horrible. It's awful. We need to be instilling in young women that their bodies are so precious and the way you spread your energy around matters, even on the internet. And like, yes, it'd be safer in a lot of ways, but you're still sharing your energy with people. Hi, Emma, if you're still here, how are you? Um, well, Jason, I know that's the attitude of a lot of people, but um, um, it's just naturally as a mother of an 18-year-old son, it's gross to me. I don't think that it's natural for women to be like that, and I think it's a sign of the times that more and more women are like that. Shane, hi, how are you? I'm doing well, Marianne. How are you? You're surprised women are treated like third-class citizens. Name a time that was different. I don't know if you're talking to me, Arian, but I never said I was surprised by it, did I? I'm sorry if I did, but no, you're right. It's like women being oppressed has been a thing that's been going on for millennia. You have ADHD, not autism. DP. That's great. What if I have both? Starboy, follow the elementals of water, air, fire, earth to find the secret to Atlantis. Oh, what a neat comment. I'm lagging a little. Okay, if anybody else thinks I'm lagging right now, could you please let me know? Smart boy, what is this channel all about? Well, I have a fun like gardening and permaculture being self-sustainable, but I also like to make commentary on all sorts of subjects like social, a little tiny bit political, but I'm just like a factory worker that wants to, share my life a bit and I'm not a part of Weeks of America. Sorry, Droopy and Gribben. You mean you don't live in America? Well, good for you. I'm sincerely happy for you if you don't live here. I'm not being sarcastic. Hi, smart boy. I didn't say hi. Second comment. Halloween song, Lion Fire. Are you talking about Dave Matthews Band? The internet does not care about your feelings. Been that way a long time. Get with the times. If you're talking to me, I I've grown my YouTube more in the last week than I have in like years, and I'm gonna keep sharing my feelings. I don't care what, trolls are gonna say about it. Clearly, uh, I got 13,000 views on my live last night. Like some people do care. So it's okay if you don't though. But she's 23, not an old lady with 18-year-old son. Jason, I understand that. And I said that she is 23, but the aspect that you're just like turned on by the thought of somebody being barely legal is borderline pedophilic, okay? In my opinion, it's okay if you disagree. If you are attracted to somebody, you see them, they happen to be that age and you're attracted to them, that's different than saying I am attracted to anybody who is barely legal. That is predatory. It's not right. That, in my opinion, is women becoming what they hate, what has traumatized them, what is not healthy for them. Because if you can't beat them, join them. It's that kind of mentality. Hi, Catherine. Are you Catherine from last night? Um, Michael. Well, I work full time and I've had issues with a hernia. So actually, I was in bed all day today. I don't know what that is, Catherine. Good morning from Nairobi, Kenya, Africa. That's so cool, James. How are you? How are things there in Nairobi? Oh, thank you, Mila. That's so sweet. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you stay subscribed. It's so funny to me. Like, I got like 120 subscribers last night, and then I got like, minus 12 or 15 or whatever. And that's fine because, like, I remember I do that all the time where I subscribe to somebody, then I realize they're not my cup of tea. And it's like, that's completely fine. I love the community we're cultivating here. And every single person that subscribes and comments, hi, Asine, how are you doing? I can't express enough how much I appreciate you. I am 38 years old. That boy. Um, Jason, no, I'm not going to explain it again. She's saying just the fact somebody is barely legal is a turn on to her. That is gross, okay? That's gross. Anybody, oh, just because you were 17 years old yesterday, I'm even more turned on. That's borderline pedophilic, okay? If you can't understand that, I'm not going to be able to explain it to you anymore. I'm not trying to be rude, Jason. I'm really not because I appreciate your contribution. John Henry said 100%. I am lagging again. Okay. So dyslexia is where you get your letters and everything mixed up. Okay, dyslexia. You missed it the first time. I one of my sons, yeah, had that slightly, and I believe I don't know if there's a version of that where you can have it just with numbers, but I swear I don't see numbers right most of the time. Okay, if somebody could let me know right now, 11:13, am I lagging? Am I glitching too much? Should I take a break, restart my phone, and come back? Because I've had people say it enough that I feel like it's a problem. What's up from Utah? Hi, Skylar. How are you doing? Hi, Jarnell. How are you? Or Jarnell? Jason, the thought process and alone would make it pedophilic. Thank you, John Henry. See, here's a man. He gets it. I'm assuming you are an actual man. Take it with a grain of salt. I know anybody could say anything on the internet. Surname Almighty. I've been married for 15 years. I've been with my husband for 20 years, but I've been completely open that, like, yes, I do have a past. And I don't know if you were here when I said I had a hysterectomy recently because I had both types of high risk HPV. I couldn't beat it for over 10 years. No woman should go through it. So many women in the adult media industry suffer from cervical dysplasia and cervical cancer. It's a horrible way to go. And you don't want to have to deal with the constant procedures and biopsies. They don't give you pain management. Say they wouldn't give me a hysterectomy until it became invasive cancer cells, meaning I probably need radiation and chemotherapy on top of it. And no, it was not worth it. The way I got it was not worth it. And if I could take back every single partner I had besides my husband and just be with my husband, I sincerely would. But I'm also like honest enough to be like, I can't say what my thought process would be. And if I like, I'm going to say satisfied. I am so satisfied with our life. But like, if I had never experienced anybody else, I can't like honestly say I wouldn't. And then they say like the way that they've studied it, like, it is ideal to have, I believe, like, 2 to 4 partners before you get married. Like, it isn't ideal for you to both have been the only person that you've had, but it is ideal, and it is. Overall, it might not be for most people, but it's the healthiest way to be, and, yeah, if I could take back everybody I was with besides my husband, I sincerely mean that. The lone wolf. Hello, lone wolf, how are you doing? Not like okay, audio is good. Well, that's good. I'm going to go ahead and stay on. Sorry, smart boy. I believe you can make the audio slower. I think you can slow it down. Maybe you can't when you're live. Isn't it? Ohio. Hey, I'm doing well, Michael. How are you doing? Greetings from Ontario, Canada, from DMG. Oh, hey, how are you? It's very common. Did you clear the virus? Kira, no, Kira. I couldn't. I had multiple biopsies, and each biopsy is like 2 or 3 samples. It's brutal. I had one lead procedure where they tell you they're just burning the layer off. No, they cut out a mass that was like a rolling die size, like this chunk of flesh. Completely no pain, completely awake. One of the worst experiences. And I've given birth naturally to an 8-pound baby, and it was more painful. It was worse than that. The recovery was worse than that too, honestly. And they just like, "Oh, you can go back to work the next day." I don't know who on earth can go back to work and be on the next day after getting that cut out of what is essentially the top of your vagina as a woman. And, I almost like yes, to the young people in chat, I can't stress this enough. They like try to make it seem like, "Oh, as long as you're safe," but condoms or something that is spoken about. And for I don't indulge in a lot of this content, but it just seems like a safe sex is not something that was promoted now as much as it was in the 90s. Like after the AIDS scare and the AIDS epidemic 80s, like they talked about safe, being protected, but that isn't foolproof. You're not like, you can still get HPV using condoms. Like there's still skin to skin contact, and it is not worth it. It is not worth it. A few minutes of pleasure, not worth having serious health issues for 10 years of life. It affected my schooling, it affected my career, it affected the way I make money, it affected my social life, my family life, it affected everything. And I had 2 doctors say, "It's not you unable to fight virus, it's your husband cheating and coming back with the exact same 2 strains, giving it to you and reinfecting you with it." That's how doctors talk to women. I said this last night. If you're like not overweight, it's your anxiety. Everything is your weight. And yes, I know like being overweight is like it will cause issues sometimes, but I mean like all of their issues and pain is like so dismissed. And that's not right what they do to us women. I don't have a wedding ring on right now, if that's what you mean, Casper. I do have it in the bathroom. I do so much with my hands. I don't like wear my rings a lot. And I need to get it sized. I have one band and like one set that's like a band and engagement. They both need sized. Jesus Christ loves you. God bless you, Gabriel. That's so nice. Thank you. You can use AHCC to get rid of HPV. Aware, I tried so many things. I tried suppositories. I made tea tree oil, boric acid, and Pillow Care, a product from Italy, where with socialized medicine, they don't want their women to get cervical cancer. They don't tell them, "Oh, well, just wait, watch and wait for 10 years." They have a product to treat cervical dysplasia, and it's really interesting. It contains, I forget exactly what it was in it, but it was like herbs and selenium, I want to say. And then I took for 6 months Noviron, a product designed using AI, scanned thousands of, it did a meta-analysis and showed a combination of herbs and I believe zinc and selenium, some minerals that together are supposed to be able to fight, like green tea extract, turmeric. Trust me, I really tried. I wasn't just like, give me a hysterectomy. At first, when it started to happen, like we pregnant, I was hopeful. Like some people said, "Oh, the pregnancy, like giving birth, it'll just like slough off." I know it sounds gross, but that's what they said to me. A lot of women's cervical dysplasia goes away after birth. No, that didn't happen. Then I got the leap. I was completely awake because I was nursing my baby. Nobody told me they were cutting out flesh. It was like so horrible. Um, Surname. Oh, yes. We definitely sit and talk a lot, surname. That's part of a successful marriage. You've got to be able to communicate, but you also have to be able to give each other space, and know when to communicate. I'm not educated on this a lot, but there are medications that prevent you getting STIs before you do it. Well, there's no 100% way of not getting STIs besides abstinence, besides being extremely careful. I think it's God's way of showing us like this is something that is sacred and meant to be between 2 people that love each other, ideally for a lifetime. I know that's not always going to work out for people, but like the longer the better. We're not made to be promiscuous. We literally have a shorter life expectancy. Actresses, like, their life expectancy is, I'm not joking, it's like 36, and a lot of it is unaliving themselves, but and you could say, well, somebody that would do that for a living probably already has mental health issues to begin with, but, like, the career definitely people aren't aware, like, there was somebody, Shelley, oh my gosh, I forget her last name, I believe it was Lubage, that does not sound right, Luggage, no, it wasn't Luggage, I feel so bad, I don't know this woman's last name. I'll make sure I make a video where her last name. She was an advocate. She ended up passing away, and it was a few days after her daughter had passed away. Super sad situation, but she exposed how there was like fake doctors. There's a handful of studios making most of the content, and this was like in the 90s, early 2000s, less internet stuff, more like VHS and whatever content. And these men, like, they take advantage of women so badly. They really do. A lot of these women are getting paid barely anything for these scenes, and then they're told, like, go get checked out by this doctor. It's safe. We all get checked out once a month or whatever. And it's not even a legit medical doctor. Casper, so you forgave him, no offense. I'm sorry, Casper. I'm a little lost on what you're talking about. He did not cheat on me, if that's what you mean. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be somebody out there that's like, "Oh, yeah, your husband could have cheated on you." I'll agree, like, it's a possibility, but my husband said he did not cheat on me, and I believe him, and I definitely think it's more like, I have autoimmune issues, it's definitely me and my body unable to fight the infection. That's like, talk about Occam's razor, it's like, isn't that more of a possibility than my husband happening to get the exact same 2 strains on 2 separate times and bringing it back to me? Hi, serial killer, how are you doing? And have to go to bed at 8. I don't know what time it is right now, but that seems early. Are you waking up really early? Hasib, you can ask me anything you want. I don't know for sure if I'm going to answer. My friend in Afghanistan offered to join the Taliban. What should I say? Yes or no? I definitely say no. I think any extremist ideology is bad. And we're all more alike than we are different. We have common threads that join us, and we are connected. Keyrat, currently lots of antivirals in gel form as well as monoclonal antibodies in development. Sucks because no patients clear HPV. Yes, Keyrat. And I totally get what you're saying, and you're right. And I'm not trying to like, you're right, and you're being totally respectful. But like, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. That's part of the attitude of why it was dismissed for so long. And I was bouncing from doctor to doctor. And then people kept telling me, stick to one doctor. Why would I stay with a doctor that's saying that the cervical cancer cells have to become invasive? And here in the small town I'm in, or was the next town up, the doctor was like, I need to give you 2 ablations before I even consider, in a leap, another second leap before I even consider a hysterectomy. The doctor in Louisville, that she's like, that's crazy. At your age, I wouldn't even give you 1 ablation. And if I did do it once, I would never give an almost 40-year-old woman 2 ablations before. You just make you suffer as much as possible. It's insane. They're like sadists. And she told me, uh, doctors just don't want to perform surgery. But you have this woman that's unable to fight two of those 2 strains of HPV that cause 80% of cervical cancers. She has both of them for 10 years. And you're not going to like at least refer her to somebody that might give her surgery. So if you're in this situation or know anybody who is, I highly recommend you try to like find a doctor in a city, in a bigger place than where you live, possibly if you're not already in a city, who does a lot of surgeries, who's scheduled every week to be in the operating room at some nice big hospital. And it makes me sad because I work in a factory with great benefits. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the health insurance in America is such a sad state. I've had everything. I've had Medicaid. I've had the Obamacare stuff. I've had private insurance. I've had insurance through work. I don't know what you mean by how much the real cute. Can you be a little bit more specific? Shelly Lopez was not her name. It was Shelly, like, Lubitsch sounds like, like the porno star name, but like that's what popped into my mind. Hi Reaper, how are you doing? I have woke back. Do you know what BPD is? Yes, I do know what that is. Hi Jax, how are you doing tonight? Is this a safe place? I'd like to think so, Stuffed Animal World. We do talk about adult subject matter though, but everybody is safe here. Jax, what is this? I'm just having a chatty live. I already talked about in the first few minutes. Uh, Church shooting that took place in Lexington, Kentucky earlier today. And I am an infectious disease pharmacist who does lots of research on infectious diseases. Oh, well, thank you for all that you do, Rat. I think that is so neat. And it's people like you in the medical field that make the biggest difference. Like, so when I talk crap about doctors, like I do know there's people that are researchers, people that really care about advancing the field for people, and there's just like so many docs that are like so stuck in their ways and stuff, and it just kills me. Oh, so why are people pushing gold and silver so hard? Oh, it's probably, you know, um, during the Great Depression, when things crashed for people, like, there's just always been stories floating around, if you're an American, about a time when, like, useless money was devalued and, uh, people value gold and silver will always have value to a certain extent, but you know what I mean? When you really think about it, like, if it was the absolute worst case scenario and people really were, like, starving, I don't know why I was about to spell out starving. If that was the case, I think people would necessarily be have the same value invested in gold and silver. You know what I mean? Like, if like we all have nothing and all infrastructures are down, you're not really maybe to get anything with your gold and silver. You know what I mean? I'd like to have a collection of seeds. We're talking about a bunch of different stuff, Randy. I'm sorry. I'm kind of all over the place if that's not your thing. I understand. I already talked about the shooting in Lexington, Kentucky at a church earlier today. Hi, DB Cooper. How are you? And I'm probably gonna get off of here soon because it has been an hour. It seems like I've been glitchier tonight than it's been the last few times. I don't know what's up with that, but it's a little disappointing. But I do appreciate everybody's comments, and if you have a YouTube channel, feel free to in the comment or like the actual comment section under any of my videos. Also go subscribe to you. I know my videos don't get that many views that aren't live, but oh, Miss Patriot, I turn 18 next week, and my cousin thinks I should do the adult film thing. I'm at a real crossroads. Yeah, well, I would highly recommend against that because that's the kind of thing you can never take away. And a lot of people think, oh, well, they do things, there's checks and balances in place, so girls don't have all of that shared or like take it down. But it's impossible to really do that, unless you're a millionaire like the Kardashians. It's really hard to truly get things scrubbed off the internet, and it's really not worth it. You might think, like, right now you don't care and it's so normalized, but you might also feel much differently when you're older. And I know that times are really, really hard. Like, I don't fault any woman, and I think, frankly, jealous of the fact that women can make money off their bodies. It's such a horrible thing. It really shouldn't be something that anybody is jealous over because it's not safe or sustainable for anybody. But, yeah, I would recommend you maybe, like, take a look at some people who have spoken out. There's a lot of people who have, and they'll say, you feel like you're safer because you're on the internet. And I've never done the webcam girl thing myself, but I've heard from people, like, talk about trolls, like, you think trolls are brutal here? Like, just really hard. I don't think any woman deserves that, or a man, I know young men do it too. Hi, Don Ron, how are you doing? Rudy, I believe you've been in here before. My son lives in Greensburg, Kentucky. That's neat. How are you, Rudy? Randy, I'm just a random dude from Toronto. How are you doing, Randy? 300 Blackout said hi. Hi, 300. How are you? Oh, you're in Austria. That's neat, Don Ron. I don't believe anybody's ever said if they were from Austria before. I live in Paraguay, and 99% of us don't have precious metals, but seeds be a good investment, Elsa said. Yes. Like, especially you get microgreen seeds. They're cheaper that way. You can buy like 5 to 10 pounds of seeds so that you'd have enough to grow and then also barter. And like maybe if things were really, really bad and there's absolutely no food, you needed nutrition, you could grow some microgreens. Like that probably wouldn't be ideal to be using a bunch of seeds or just like grow little sprouts, depending on your situation though. There's like uses for seeds. And I think you'd be able to barter seeds easier in an extreme situation than precious metals. Oh, 300, that's silly. Well, you guys, it's been really nice talking to you, and, um, I I don't know if I'm gonna go live again. I definitely am going to go live tomorrow on Monday, and I really appreciate all the subscribers. It's really fun, the community we're cultivating. I am going to enable my membership soon. I'm just gonna have 2 tiers, 99¢ and $1.99. If you're interested in having more. Oh my gosh, RIP Ashley Scott, now I wanna stay on if you're on here. How are you doing tonight? I was just talking about how my 2 membership tiers will be enabled probably tomorrow, and like I I think it'll be really fun. And I will gift my mods the memberships. I don't expect people to pay for it. They're like modding for me if they want to, but it also will have less need to mod, I guess, because there will be less trolling. But I think it'd be fun to have some very specific topics and be able to talk more privately with people. A lot of people say the chat it's fun to have more people in the chat, but it also makes it more difficult for really good conversations, right? Feeling, eating. Great. We are eating, feeling sleepy. Oh, cool. Yeah, at the beginning, I talked about how there was a shooting at a church in Lexington. If you didn't hear, hi, Maurice, how are you doing? And today, somebody They got stopped in a traffic and they shot that cop and fled the scene and carjacked somebody and went to this Baptist church where they said that they might have connections with people in the church and shot 4 people there, and 2 of those women passed away. And, I don't even know what you're talking about. I sincerely don't. Um, okay. A 24-hour timeout for that spam. A 300, I was just joking. Yeah, that's why I said you're being silly. I figured that was a joke. And, um, this is what happens when I was talking about there's a cycle according to the Sumerian ends being male dominated, and, like, part of that when it was explained in the documentary I saw it, and this was in Netflix in 2015, that sex is monetized in the end of the cycle, in the male-minded cycle. And think about ancient Rome. You know, you hear about all the things that took place and like the orgies and stuff. How like oh, and it's like they were like so cosmopolitan and they were so open with like sex, whatever, this and that. And but was it part of the fall of their civilization? Was that a downturn? Is that maybe not healthy for people to be that way? That's horrible. I've been away from TV all day. Yeah, RIP Ashley Scott. And it's technically hearsay, but one of the women who passed away, she had the same last name as the pastor of the church. So let's pray and hope like nobody else loses their lives from this. And oh, thanks, Rudy. Yeah, really unfortunate situation, especially in a place like Kentucky. There's just like so many close knit church communities, and it really hurts. It hurts for other people who are hurt by it. How did you get on the subject of sex? Okay, surname. It was because the police chief at a press conference for the shooting I was just talking about said, I put down my notes, like things happen and we don't know why. In regards to this shooting, yeah, sometimes things happen. We don't have a reason why, is a quote. And I'm saying, I think we have a reason why. People's mental health is getting worse and worse overall. Particular have a mental health crisis going on at the moment, and that's why like more violent crime is going to be committed, at the hands of people who have mental health crisis. One of the things that gets brought up when it comes to men's mental health is the male loneliness epidemic, and what is going on that is causing so many men to be lonely and have poor mental health. So I hope that makes it make more sense. Hi Noah, how are you? Hi Andrew, how are you? Um, okay, Andrew. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing? But yeah, I definitely plan. I wanted to go on here earlier. It's just I didn't get on here as early. I never get on here as early as I want to. Hopefully, I'll be on here more around 8 or 9 tomorrow night, Monday night. And I'm gonna say good night now. But last night was really fun. And RIP Ashley Scott. I really appreciated you and all you contributed to last night, especially with Chris. And I woke up, really motivated. Definitely gonna work on my channel a lot. I'm gonna share with you how many pumpkins sprouting. It's so cool. We need a fence around it, get some kind of barrier. Like deer don't eat new sprouts. They just don't. They're not interested. They have enough other stuff they're already used to eating. But it still worries me. Like it would be such a shame if I walked out there and all my pumpkin sprouts were ate. It is a possibility. Surname. It's perpetuation from the DOD that men be lonesome. Does it smell like eggs in there? Because that's such a funny trolley question. No, I think the stream is ending. I'm like one of those people that's like, I'm going to say bye for like a half an hour. I'm having issues at work, mentally draining and thinking to quit. The more I think about it, the more confident the decision becomes. Any suggestions? Well, Mohammed, if you need to make money to like eat and pay the bills, I would definitely get another job first because nothing's worse than stressing out about money. You know what I mean? I know you might be stressed out now, but keep that in mind. Like the most stressed out I've ever been was when I was unemployed, right? And I hope it's something changes for you. Recently, my work hired a few new people that are like so draining to work with that I've seriously considered put my app in other places. Um, and Mohammed, like I said, I would get another job first. That's the best advice of anybody thinking about leaving their job. Like you can't ever go wrong having something in place before you leave. Yes, I got. I'm growing all sorts of cool pumpkins too, and I'm growing 2 heirloom varieties. One's a Lakota squash, like Lakota Indians, and the other is pink banana, and it's like things Indians and settlers grew. Wow, you talk faster than that little girl on Home Improvement. I don't know who you're talking about. I watch that show a lot, but that's funny. I try, like, I listen to myself on double speed. I feel like I talk slow when I listen to myself. Maybe that's because I'm used to like talking fast. Okay. Hey, legalese, intellect, listen to me. That is so funny. I mispronounced that legally. Okay. How are you doing tonight? I was just getting ready to get off of here. I talked about a shooting that took place at a Baptist church in Lexington, Kentucky earlier today at the beginning, but I did want to reiterate that and say the names of the victims. Beverly Gum and Christina Combs are two women who had passed away because of that incident. I'm sure, lots of us here in Kentucky and all over the world are going to be thinking about them and their families now, right? And there's always those people that are going to say, like, what good do thoughts and prayers do? And like, your thoughts affect you on a cellular level. So I believe like praying is, and no, it's not to say it's going to change the course of history, but it can hurt. It's morning there, legalized intellect. It is 11:36 at night here. Yes, I'm gonna be up for a little bit longer, but going to bed soon. Hi, Mackay. Good night, mods and chatting. Take care of yourself. All right, Ashley Scott. I hope I see you again in a live soon. Rudy, I think it's Randy's GF blonde hair. Oh, Randy's girlfriend. I still don't know who you're talking about, but that's funny. What if it's a 9 to 5, which is the issue? I want to explore something different. I have a backup job ready, but I can't do 9 to 5. I understand that completely, Mohammed. Like, I think a lot of us are there, especially how we have less opportunity, less ability to go and climb the economic ladder, the more that these, I don't know exactly where you live, Muhammad, but here in the US, like the ability to climb the economic ladder is becoming harder and harder. That's funny, Joe. Hi, Hawk. I'm getting ready to say goodnight, but I hope you all have a great end to your weekend or begin your week, and we will chat again soon.